Oh, in the second, wait a second. Second, Avos is should be Daled Gimel, correct?
Correct. You are on top of it.
Okay. He used to say, "Do not be scornful of any person, and do not disregard anything, for you have no person without his hour, and you have no thing without its place." Rabbi Levitas, the leader of Yavna, says, "Be exceedingly humble in spirit, for the anticipated end of mortal man is worms." Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka says, "Whoever desecrates the name of heaven in secret, they will exact punishment from him in public." Unintentional and intentional both are alike regarding desecration of the name. Rabbi Yishmael, son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, says, "One who studies Torah in order to teach is given the means to study and to teach. The one who studies Torah in order to practice is given the means to study and to teach, to observe and to practice." Rabbi Tzaddik says, "Do not make the words of Torah into a crown in order to be glorified through them, nor a spade with which to dig." So till Hillel used to say, "And one who makes use of the crown will pass away. From this you will derive whoever seeks personal benefit from the words of Torah removes his life from this world." Okay.
All right, Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi Stam is Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta from Tzipori. He was one of the primary students of Rabbi Akiva, and he was he was noted for having performed Yibum, and he had 5 children from his Yavama.
Oh.
Did you know that? Interesting fun fact about Rabbi Yossi was that his brother died childless, and he married the widow and had 5 children from her, and he had several notable children, being Rabbi Yishmael bar Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Yossi being the greatest among them. And he was a teacher of Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi. And he's one of these cases where his opinion carries so much weight that normally when you have a Das Yachid, we automatically say the halach is like the rabbim. But when it comes to Rabbi Yossi, we don't always. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We sometimes have situations where we see that Rabbi Yossi paskins one way, and we hold like him. He's considered to have a very heavy weight in halacha. And he was also known as a person who was very Aaronish in terms of pursuit of peace. He would try to avoid machlokes in as much as possible, and distance himself from anger. And that's it. Okay. So into the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi says, "Kol ha-mechabed es ha-Torah, gufo mechubad al habrios." If somebody has honor for Torah, then he himself is respected by people. And mechalel es ha-Torah, gufo mechulal al habrios. And if he disrespects, if he mechalel is to make normal, to make unsanctified. If he's mavazir the Torah, if he disgraces the Torah, then he himself will be denigrated.
Disgraced by people. Be disgraced by people.
Disgraced by people. Okay. Rabbi Yishmael beno. So this is Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yossi. He says, "Chosech atzmo min hadin." If he tries to avoid getting involved in judgments, and he also gets himself out of the parsha of enmity and stealing and false oaths. So if you can avoid it, try and avoid it, because it's a difficult parsha to get into, to avoid enmity and stealing and false oaths. Like gasli b'horah, and somebody who is overly familiar with, let's say, he's the halacha is like this, and he keeps paskening. He's a shote rasha v'gas ruach. He's a fool, evil and arrogant. So that's an interesting take. You need people to paskin halacha, but when a person paskins halacha, basically what he's going at is gas libo. If somebody feels comfortable just to paskin and whatever, that's that's it's a very dangerous kind of approach to have. It's a kind of an arrogance.
Mhm.
Anyways, and in terms of judgment, you are not allowed to be a lone judge, even if a person is a Talmid Chacham, knows the whole Torah inside and out, and two litigants come to him and say, "Listen, we need you to judge a case between us." You can't say, "Well, look, I know the halachas. I'll be able to tell you who's right and who's wrong." Not allowed. He has to have two other judges with him, even if they're Amei Aretz. He needs to even relative to him. He needs to have two other people to make a based in, because you can't have halacha. She'ein dan yachidi ela echad. The only one who is allowed to be a single judge is the one, right? Hashem. V'al tomar, and once you found these two other judges to sit with you, and you think, okay, so I conceded to the fact that we need to have two judges, and he listens to the case, and he says to his fellow judges, "Listen, the halacha is like this. You have to rule like this." Not allowed. You're the achid. You're only singular. If they both decide to vote against you, they can tell you to accept their opinion because they're the majority, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that you're a greater Talmid Chacham. The beis din goes according to the majority. Okay, that's 3. Okay, base Tesayin.
Base Tesayin. He used to say, "You are not required to complete the task, yet you are not free to withdraw from it. If you have studied much Torah, they give you great reward, and your employer can be relied upon you to pay the wage of your labor. But be aware that the reward of the righteous will be given in the world to come." Akavia ben Halal says, "Consider 3 things, and you will not come into the grip of sin. Know whence you came, whither you go, and before whom you are destined to give judgment and accounting. Whence you came from a future drop, whither you go to a place of dust, worms, and maggots, and before whom you are declined to give judgment and accounting. Before the King who reigns over kings, the Holy One, blessed is He." Kanina, the deputy Kohen Gadol, says, "Pray for the welfare of the government, because if people did not fear it, a person would swallow his fellow alive." Now, Kanina ben Trajan says, "When two people are sitting together and there are no words of Torah between them, this is a session of scorners." As it is stated in the session of scorners, he did not sit. But two who are sitting together and there are words of Torah between them, divine presence dwells between them, as it is stated. Then those who fear Hashem spoke to each other, and Hashem listened and heard, and a book of remembrance was written before him for those who fear Hashem and give thought to His name. I only know 2. From where do we know that even one person who sits and occupies himself with Torah, that the Holy One, blessed is He, determines a reward for him? As it is stated, let one sit in solitude and whisper, for he has taken a reward for it.
Okay.
Rabbi, that was 3?
That's 3.
It was? All right.
That was 3.
Okay.
Okay. Adios Ches Aleph.
Okay. Hit Aleph. Rabbi Yeshua ben Becerra testified concerning the blood of Nevelos, that is Sahor. Rabbi Shimon ben Baroka testified concerning the ash of the Chatas Para Aduma ashes, that if a Tameh touch part of it, he has rendered all of it Tameh. Rabbi Akiva added, regarding the fine flour of mincha offerings, the incense used for the twice daily incense offerings in the temple, the frankincense used with various mincha offerings, and the coals of the altar, that if a table yom touch part of them, he has rendered the whole of them unfit. Yehuda ben Baba and Yehuda ben Kohen testified concerning a minor, the daughter of Yisrael who married a Kohen, that she may eat truma once she has entered the kuppah, even though her marriage has not yet been consummated. Reb Yossi, the Kohen, and Reb Zechariah ben Akatav testified concerning a young girl who was given as pledge in Ashkelon, and her family thereafter distanced her. However, her witnesses testified regarding her that she had not secluded herself and had not been violated. The sages said to the family, "If you believe that she had been given as a pledge, believe as well that she did not seclude herself with the idolater and was not violated. And if you not to believe that she did not seclude herself and was not violated, do not believe that she was given as a pledge." Rabbi Hashua and Rabbi Yehuda ben Becerra testified concerning an Issa widow, that she is permitted to marry into kahuna, and that an Issa family is permitted to render tameh or tahor, the distance, or to bring closer. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said to them, "We accept your testimony, but what can we do about this in practice? and Rabbanan ben Yochanan and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zechariah, Zechariah, I decreed not to seek courts for this purpose. The Kohanim will heed you to distance, but not to bring close.
Okay. Bava Basra, Vav Gimel.
If one sells wine to another and it sours, he is not liable. If it is known that his wine sours, it is an erroneous purchase. If he said to him, I am selling you spiced wine, he is responsible for its preservation until Shavuos. Old wine, it must be from the previous year. Very old wine from 3 years previously. One who sells a place to another to build a house for him on it, and similarly, one who accepts a contract for another to build for him a wedding house or for his son or a widow house for his daughter, must build a house 4 cubits by 6. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Ishmael says, this is a cattle shed. One who wants to make a cattle shed builds it 4 cubits by 6, a small house 6 by 8, a large one 8 by 10, a salon 10 by 10. His height must equal half of its length and width. Proof to this is from the sanctuary. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says everything follows the construction of the sanctuary. One who owns a pit behind the house of another enters at the time that people ordinarily enter and leaves at the time that people ordinarily leave. He may not bring in his animal to give to drink from his pit. Rather, he must fill a container and give it to a drink outside, and each one may make a lock for himself.
Okay.
And we have Yevamos. Okay, Yud Gimel Tet. If someone was married to 2 minor orphans and died, if the Yavam cohabitated with the first one and then with the second one, or his brother cohabitated with the second one, he did not disqualify the first one. So too in the case of 2 deaf mutes. If one was a minor and one was a deaf mute, if the Yavam cohabitated with the minor and then with the deaf mute, or if his brother then cohabitated with the deaf mute, he did not disqualify the minor. If the Yavam cohabitated with the deaf mute and then with the minor, or his brother then cohabitated with the minor, he disqualified the deaf mute. If one was competent and one was a deaf mute, if the Yavam cohabitated with the competent one and then with the deaf mute, or his brother cohabitated with the deaf mute and he did not disqualify the competent one. If the Yavam cohabitated with the deaf mute and then with the competent one, or his brother then cohabitated with the competent one, they disqualified the deaf mute. If one was an adult and one was a minor, if the Yavam cohabitated with the adult and then with the minor, or if his brother then cohabitated with the minor, he did not disqualify the adult. If the Yavam cohabitated with the minor and then with the adult, or if his brother then cohabitated with the adult, he disqualified the minor. If Eliezer said, we reteach the minor to refuse him.
Yeah. Hey, Prisbal.
A principle is not canceled. This is one of the measures which Hillel the elder instituted. When he saw that people refrained from lending to one another and thus violated what is written in the Torah, beware that there is not a base thought in your heart, and Hillel instituted the protocol. This is the substance of the protocol. I transfer to you so and so and so and so, the judges in such and such a place, that any debt due to me I shall collect whenever I wish, and the judges sign below, or the witnesses. A predated bill is valid, but the post-dated one is invalid. Predated bills of indebtedness are invalid, and post-dated ones are valid. If a person borrows from 5, he must write a post bill for each. If 5 persons borrow from 1, they need only write 1 for all.
Okay. And Caleb.
Okay. Kuf Tes Hay. The cord of the balance of store owners, and that of householders its measure is 1 handbreadth. The handle of a hatchet in front is 1 handbreadth. The remnant of a compass handle is 1 handbreadth. The handle of a chisel used by stone engravers is 1 handbreadth. The cord of a wood dealer's balance and that of a glass weigher's, their measure is 2 handbreadths. The handle of a millstone chisel is 2 handbreadths, and the handle of a mace is 2 handbreadths. The handle of a goldsmith's hammer, its measure is 2 handbreadths. The hammer of blacksmiths, its measure is 3 handbreadths. The remnants of a rod from above, its measure is 4 handbreadths, and the handle of a spade, its measure is 4 handbreadths. The handle of a matak for pounding is measured as 5 handbreadths, and the handle of a small hammer is measured 5 handbreadths, and that of a hammer is 6 handbreadths. The handle of a shovel of plasterers, Ben Shammai says this measure is 9 handbreadths. Measures Hillel says this measures 10 handbreadths.
Hold on. You jumped. I think
I
you
skipped the page.
skipped a page. Yeah. Go back to the handle of.
Got it. The handle of an axe for splitting wood and for hoeing is measured as 6 handbreadths. That of a handle of a stonemason sill is measured as 6 handbreadths.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're done.
Why is it so important that the measurement of the handle?
Okay, the measurement of a handle. Why? Because you want to know how far is considered a connection as far as Tuma is concerned. So let's say you've got an axe that's got a certain amount of handle. You can't have an axe without a handle. So if something the axe touches something tame, so now the head of the axe just touches it, but that Tuma is going to transmit all the way down the handle up to the point where the handle is needed. But if you've got an extra long handle, the rest of the handle is actually does not become tame, because that's actually an impediment. It gets in your way when you're trying to chop.
Right,
so if anything comes into contact with that part of the handle, it's considered not part of the axe.
I have it. Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow, Mr. Shem. Thank you. Bye.